So here we go with my first how-to video. I say first, it might be the only one, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to try and splice a loop into this 12 plait 4mm dyneema. The loop is to go over the top of the mast because these are going to be shrouds. So the loop wants to be roughly that kind of size. So yeah, about there. And that's probably a little bit more rope than I need for the tail. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to splice it straight through the longer bit of rope, the standing part if you like, and then get the other end of the rope, the standing part, and then splice it back through here to lock it, and then this bit is going to be fed down the core of the rope to tidy it away. So, about there, we made the loop and crossed them over, so the loop's about the right size. About there is where I want to make the hole. So this is a 4mm splicing fid. And I just push the rope apart to open it up and try and get it going through the middle of the rope if I can. The closer to the middle of the rope I manage to get it, the stronger it's going to be. About there. That's in, and I can load the fid up. And through it goes. So that's gone through the rope, but obviously it can slide, so now I'm going to lock it in by going onto the short part of the rope this time and making another hole that the long part, the standing part, is going to go through to lock it. So on the short part of the rope, directly below where it's just gone through, and this is going to be where the length of the loop is decided. Through it goes, and try and get it nice and clean again through the middle of the rope. There we go, and now I'm hoping that this is going to go through happily. Whoops! With no knots. Should have untangled this before I started. There's going to be a break in the video at this point. Right, here we go. Got it. So, the other long end of the bit of rope, feed that into the fid, push it through, and away we go. Pull the whole lot through. Nearly there. And there we go. And if we pull the loop, then those two bits lock onto each other and it can't go anywhere anymore. That is absolutely locked in. So the only thing to do now is to tidy it up by just feeding this end back down into the middle of the rope. So just below where it's spliced together on the long part, the standing part of the rope again, break the rope open, but this time, rather than sending the fid straight through the rope and out the other side, I'm going to find the tunnel, make a tunnel in the middle of the rope and feed the fid down. I picked up the wrong fid. That was going to work better. The 4mm fid again. I'm wondering why it was starting to get stuck. So just keep on opening up the rope, and obviously it's going to swallow this rope up, but it needs to go a little bit longer so that rope does actually disappear into the rope. You'll see what I mean in a moment. That, I think, should do it. It doesn't actually matter if you go a little bit too short because you can just feed it in and start again. That probably doesn't make sense, but it'll make sense in a moment, hopefully. So we are, we've fed it down the middle of the rope. So load up the fid again and pass it down, and the rope has popped out the other end. So now we need to cut it. Let's get rid of the tape. So obviously it's cut already, but the cut is a little bit too neat. With that rope being such a neat cut, it'll be very obvious inside the rope where the end of it is, and it's better. It's not going to be so critical for this purpose because it's going to be right off at the top of the mast, but in other places, especially if it's a control line, you want it to be a bit more tapered. So if you just cut, these should be quite sharp scissors, but it's still pretty tough stuff to cut. But like I say, it doesn't matter if you're not making a clean cut, you're just softening the end, tapering it a bit. Yeah, that'll do, that'll do. So then, best bit, pull the rope down and it disappears into the rope, and you know what, I've made a mess of that because I haven't pulled it through, so, but it's not a problem. I'll just pull it out and do it again. Easier this time because it's been fed through once already. So this time, because I haven't got the tape on it anymore, I'm going to have to just feed it down a little bit further into the fid to get all those little frayed ends which I so carefully made. And then carefully, more carefully this time, load the fid up, pop it into its little hook. And now pull it, make sure it goes all the way through with no slack in it. And now I can work this down again so that the end of the rope disappears into the tunnel. And there it is. And it is possible to do the other end as well. The only problem with doing the other end is that when you feed, so you pop that one through exactly the same, and then when you feed the long end through this bit of rope, of course you've got a splice in it, so you've now got double the diameter of rope to go back through this little end. So the easiest thing to do, it will still work, but it's best to use a bigger fid. So this is a 5.5mm fid, so you can feed your splice into the larger fid, and it should still go through the rope quite easily, yeah, like that. And that's the only time you need to feed that doubled up width of rope through it, because obviously then when you're making the end disappear, it will just be the thin end, the full mil end. So that's the only time you actually need to use the fid. And that, as I say, is only if you want a loop in both ends of your 12 plait dyneema. So there we go. Hope that was useful.